One of the most challenging things to deal with as an artist is artistic burnout, and it's especially challenging if you're a full-time professional artist and you rely on your creativity to make income. Today I'm going to share my tips for overcoming artistic burnout. That's coming up next. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Aaron Rutten, and it is my mission to help artists like you be more successful at your creative passion. That's why today we're going to be talking about overcoming artistic burnout. Artistic burnout happens when you've been working on something for so long that you just don't want to work on it anymore, or maybe you've finished the project and you just were so overwhelmed and so stressed out by it that you don't want to start a new project. In my case, the thing that I really get burned out the most on is when I create a course. And I love creating courses. They're one of the most fulfilling things that I do. They're a great product, a great source of income, but they require a lot of work because I'm doing everything myself. I'm conceptualizing the course, I'm writing a script, I'm recording it, I'm creating the painting as I'm recording, and then I have hours and hours and hours and days of video editing. It's insane how much editing it takes for a course that might be, let's say, 8 hours of footage. It might take me 30 hours to edit all of that footage into a video that might only be a couple hours long. And the reason why is because I have to watch that footage over and over and over again to look for mistakes and look for places to cut out and look for ways to make the video more clear. So it just takes a lot of work. And by the end of it, I do not want to make another course. I am officially burned out on creating courses. And that's really not a good thing, because if I could create a course consistently, let's say every month or every couple months, then of course that would lead to more course sales and increase my revenue overall. So it would be great if I could create a new course every month, but I get burned out every time I create a course, so what do? Well, first of all, I try to be realistic. Ideally, yes, I'd like to publish one course every month or at least one course every couple months. But you know what? If that's just too much to do, in addition to my Patreon stuff that I create and my YouTube videos that I create, and then my own personal life and then other projects I have going on, if I just don't have the time to do it, I really can't. And so I have to figure out what's my maximum threshold, because I could create one course a year, or I could create one course every 6 months, but I feel like that's too infrequent. So I want to be able to create a course as often as I humanly can and really try not to dip below that. So for me, I'm trying to create a course every other month, more or less. If I try to push myself beyond that, that burnout is just going to take over, and it's going to make it so hard to get through those courses and to create those courses. And if I push myself too hard in that burnout mode, what's going to happen is I'm just going to get burned out altogether, and I'm not even going to want to create courses. So ideally, I'd like to create a course as often as possible, but I get burned out if I do it too often. So then what do I do if I have to take a break and I have to have a month or two in between when I make a course? How do I keep my business going? How do I keep course sales going without it fizzling out? The key is to take a break from what you're burned out on. Think about specifically what that is. And for me, that's not even so much conceptualizing a course or recording it. It's the editing. I don't want to do editing because guess what? I do a lot of video editing for my YouTube videos. And so editing a course is like editing hell. So I'm not going to do any editing. I'm going to focus on some other things that are not editing that will still help to sell my courses, that will still help to keep me going, help keep me creative. So while I'm kind of healing up from that burnout, I'm still doing something to further my goals. But you can fill this time with really anything that's creative. It doesn't even have to be creative. It could be something else like self-promotion. You can also try something new that you're not familiar with, and that gives you a bit of a mental break from whatever it is that you're being overwhelmed by, or whatever you're bored by, or whatever you've been doing too much of. So let's say you were working on a comic book and you drew pages and pages and pages of line art and you colored it. You don't want to draw any more line art for a while. You could focus on something different. You could study backgrounds or color or something that's not your strong point. That way you'll have that benefit of having learned all that knowledge, and then when you get back into doing your comic book again, you'll have something else to think about while you're working. And maybe that addition of something new, a new skill or something that challenges you or something to add, will help diffuse that burnout a little bit, and you won't feel so burned out because you'll feel like you're doing something that's a little bit different or slightly new. Another tip I have for overcoming burnout is to optimize your workflow. Whatever it is that you're doing, try to figure out what it is that's causing you to feel burned out, because usually it's something that's really, really inefficient and tedious. So for me in video editing, I've been learning video editing as I've been going along. I didn't go to school for video editing, so I don't know absolutely all of the tips and tricks that there are. I just kind of pick them up by figuring it out myself, or maybe I'll watch a tutorial and I'll learn some stuff that way. And so with each video, I learn a little bit more and my workflow gets a little bit faster and a little bit more efficient. And I found with each course that I create, I'll learn some new tricks, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, that saved me an hour or two, or maybe it saved me 10 hours of editing. because I learned some tricks to edit faster and do some different things that required more time or more clicks or more thoughts. But once it's a little bit faster, then I can create a course faster. And if I can get it done faster and I cut out some of that tedious stuff, then I don't feel as burned out by the end of the process. And I start to feel a little more encouraged for the next project because I know that maybe I'll learn something from that project that'll speed up the process even more. And as those difficult and tedious products start to get more and more easy and more efficient, you start to feel less and less burned out. It's really about kind of building up a tolerance. And if you can build up a tolerance to the burnout, you won't really feel it quite as much. But it's definitely a natural thing to feel with anything, whether it's art or music or just your day-to-day life, you can feel burned out. And if you try some of these tips, like trying some new things, being a little bit more efficient with your workflow, or focusing on something that's still creative, that still furthers your goals, but isn't that exact thing that you're getting burned out on. So those are my tips for overcoming artistic burnout. If you were motivated by this video, take a quick second to click the like button and go on over to patreon.com and join me on my mission to create more free resources for digital artists. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.